why don't we start now?
Okay.
Thank you so much for being on, Rachel.
Thank you for inviting me.
You got it.
It's very intimidating.
I don't want it to be. Like,
No,
this was just
it's
supposed
just
to be
me.
a fun way
I know.
to paint with other people while everyone sort of couldn't do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that so many other painters would be like, nope, go fuck yourself, Chris. I don't want to paint. I don't want to paint on the camera. I don't want you to make your asinine jokes. You know, like I don't want to paint your bullshit. Like,
Is that how people? That's not how I feel. I just, it's just,
well, I'm being a little
social.
I'm being a little dramatic there, but
Okay. No, I want you to make your terrible jokes and keep things going. Takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are painting some grapefruit.
Yeah.
I looked because you asked me to find a sufficient still life, and I looked through all my photos and discovered that I didn't really have one.
No.
I had like a lot of bullshit that like avocados and some mushrooms and stuff, and then I decided, well, I will take some photos this morning. So the two things I had was onions and grapefruit.
So you just shot these this morning. I didn't realize that.
Yes, because I set my alarm so I'd be able to get up earlier and do a little photo shoot here.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. I was almost thinking that you would have chosen, to maybe paint some, I don't know, some coffee cups, because I think I saw that you did so many of them. I thought maybe it was like your thing.
It was, and then I got a little tired of it, but also the pictures that I used to take were kind of boring. They weren't really, I don't even think you could call them still life. I mean, it was really like, it was just my cup of coffee every day. And,
Well, I
so
think
I don't know
that
that.
has, well, no, I think that has a certain amount of charm to it, of not having anything to kind of posed,
Yeah. They were pretty like minimal, I guess.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like still life, when I look at them, it like I have a hard time suspending my disbelief that actually existed anywhere except for, to be posed that way. And I kind of like things that are a little off the cuff sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, and I get a little overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I get kind of overwhelmed with really big, complex still lives. I don't think I have the patience for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly don't. The largest still I think I do are like maybe 12 by 12.
Yeah.
And if they don't have cheese, blueberries, or garlic in it, I'm completely like, I'm out. Oh, man. Okay, so I think I have some of the more intense red colors here. I'm using a CMYK palette.
Okay.
And I'm painting on pink. So hopefully that works out for me here.
Okay. So what is that, like a quinacridone or something? Is that what your magenta is like?
It's a quinacridone magenta. And for my my yellow, I add CAD deep, as well as having my base kind of like Hansa or CAD yellow for
Okay.
in my CMYK palette.
Okay.
And yeah, that's how I get some of my deeper oranges.
Nice. Those are I've got CAD yellow, light, and medium on my palette too right now. I went with the CAD red though, and I don't know. Well, kind of regretting that.
Well, no, you're painting on like a bright yellow, so I think it. I mean,
Yeah, I
it kind
guess.
of
Yeah.
reflects through. I'm painting on like a cold, like hot pink.
Yeah.
That would have been like a bad T-shirt in '89.
Right.
Kind of that color.
Right. Right.
So, you are in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I am. I'm coastal. I'm in Narragansett.
I know Narragansett well.
I saw you painted the towers, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to live in Westerly, and then I lived in Charlestown.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And this was back before we got our motorhome. So it would have been pre-2008.
Okay. Oh.
And Rhode Island was an interesting beast.
Yeah, it is.
That's where my wife's family's from.
Oh, is she from the like South County area or?
No, she's actually from the Foster Gloucester area.
Oh,
which
no
is
school Foster.
Yes, no school Foster Gloucester.
You know about that?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Yeah, she still has a family there.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where they are now, but I think she has an uncle in Pawtucket,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has some cousins who live in Barrington.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think it's Barrington area.
Yeah.
And so every time we go back to New England in our travels, we usually stay at Burlingame.
Oh yeah. Right.
Park, and then we also stay with her brother, who has a house in Stonington, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And
I like Stonington.
Yeah, we've stayed a few times at the park that's close to Narragansett. It's down by the water there.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to get into, and it's kind of
I bet.
It's kind of way too much money for what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, if you climb up on top of like a little hill that's there, and if you climb into a tree that's on top of the hill, you can get up and take a photo of the water. But otherwise, it's still like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know that you're by the beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
I take it
super. What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, I take it you've lived there like most of your life?
Not really. I mean, I grew up here. I grew up in Exeter. And then I promptly left when I graduated high school.
Okay.
And I went to school in Massachusetts. And then right after school, I foolishly moved to New York City.
Oh, wow.
When you think you're going to be an artist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wasn't. I didn't turn out to be a professional artist at the age of 21. So I lived in New York for about 14 years.
Okay.
Half in the city, and then the second half on Long Island. And so it was only a few years ago that I came back here, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We
I was going to ask how Long Island life was.
I didn't love it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I had lived in the city for a while and apartments and stuff, and I think I just really wanted like grass and a car, and I just kind of wanted to like go back to that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the best, you know. I mean, I had like a career there and stuff, so it was really kind of a different life altogether. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
So, have you traveled other places?
I
Like,
have.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to travel a lot for my job. And then after I left that and after I left Long Island, my husband and I went to Europe for um, about a year.
That's great.
Yeah, so we stayed over there and worked a little bit, traveled around. So it was great. Yeah. So we were in Strasbourg in France for a
Mhm.
while. And that was really great city. It's like we both are really into cycling, so um, there's just like bike paths everywhere. It's super bike friendly. Everybody has like at least one bike. Um, so it's a really really nice place to be. So we were there for a while, and then we went to Italy for a while. We were in Florence,
Mhm.
and we were actually bicycle tour guides.
Really?
Yes, which I didn't intend on doing. I kind of like found him the job when we were leaving France. I was like, "Hey, you should do this," and then the guy who ran the company, he was an American guy who had been living there for like 20 years or something, and he was like, "Well, you should do it too." So Um, so I did. So we did that for a couple of months in the summer, which was hot.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was fun. I mean, it was a crazy experience. Yeah.
Oh,
And
now are you swishing in water?
swish. Yes.
Oh, I see on the side. Is that like a really large bucket of water
Yeah.
you have?
Yes. Trough. A trough of water.
It's a froth of water. So, are you using water soluble oil or acrylic or?
I'm using acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Now
A lot of
you,
people, a lot of people wince when they say that.
I know. Well, yeah, I know.
I
It's just
used
when we're
acrylic for a
around
long
oil
time.
painters.
No, that's all nonsense. Like
All right. All right. Um,
acrylic has only been around for so long. I mean,
I
it,
know.
it most likely because it's a petroleum product, it will
Yeah.
last longer than paintings that were traditionally made with like linseed or walnut oil.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, if you're one of those people who are really concerned with light fastness, uh,
Mm.
news for you. Like, oh,
Are
where'd you
you still
go?
there?
Yep, you just blanked out there.
Oh,
Oh, okay, you're back.
okay, good.
Yeah,
All right.
that won't be too big of a deal in the recording.
Okay.
I'll I'll figure it out.
All right.
Ah, I yeah, this knife I put in the photo here is a little odd.
Oh, you're going so fast. Oh my God.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm impatient like that. I'm the most impatient person I know. I want to finish everything
Yes.
before it's natural time, you
Right.
know?
I totally understand that. I'm very impatient too. I think I'm just not used to talking and painting, maybe.
Nobody is. This is a
Well,
ridiculous idea, Rachel.
but I've never done it. So, I mean, I
A
can't
lot of people have never done it.
Yeah, if I have to talk, I can't really do anything else. I mean, I can walk, and that's about it. I can't cook. I can't drive. Like no.
You're doing a great job so far.
Well, thanks.
I mean, yeah, the only, you know, the alternative is just to stop what you're doing or wipe it out and tell stories, which I mean,
Right.
I'm fine if you do either.
No, I've been painting. I don't have any stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am interested in finding out more about your coffee cups.
Yeah.
That you did. I think that's what I think maybe that's when I started following you on Instagram.
Okay.
Maybe before. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm really bad about consistency, and people who I mean to follow, like I'll hold off and forget for like a year.
I
And
know.
then I'm really not a good social media person, even though I use it constantly.
Yeah. I know. I'm always amazed when people like know how they found out about someone, and like I have no idea. Like I don't know when I first, saw your paintings. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when. I don't know how.
Could have been any time.
It could have been, absolutely. It could have been any time. Ooh. Trying to mix up a black here, and it's not going well. So when I started those coffee cups, I was kind of I had been doing like two sort of different bodies of work. I had been working on portraits for a while, but also I had all these cycling paintings that I was doing. So, which is sort of how I started to get a bunch of people interested in my work at first on Instagram, actually, because I'm a big fan of cycling, and so I started doing those, and I was also doing the portraits still, and then I decided I wanted to kind of, take a break and do something different, and I wanted to like establish a really consistent like daily practice. And something that like I didn't have to, decide every day, what am I going to paint today, right? So my husband and I were talking about it, and he was like, well, you should just do something like paint something that is going to be like in front of you every day. So why don't you do your coffee? So it's kind of like his idea.
It's a solid idea.
Yeah, it was a really great idea. And so that's what I would do. So every morning when I would make my coffee, I would take a couple minutes and snap a picture of it, because I wasn't, I'm not going to be painting at 7 a.m. or whatever time it was. And I didn't want my coffee to get cold, let's face it, right? So
totally.
Yeah, so I would save the picture and then paint it later in the day. And, initially I just kind of set myself a goal to do it for at least 30 days. And then I ended up doing it for, I think, around 110.
That's right, because I remember some kind of tag you made about like having it be the 100th coffee cup, and that's when I was like, wait a second, she did 100 of these?
Right.
Because I've done a lot of repetitious shit, especially when I was selling out on the street. But like, the one thing I cannot say is like I never did 100 of anything.
Well, I did end up varying them quite a bit because I think it was after the first 30 days, I decided that I should allow myself to kind of paint cups, any kind of a cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I still did mostly coffee, but then, sometimes I would, if we were out for lunch or something, I would take a picture of my, my water, my wine glass or something like that, so I could mix it up a little bit. So, so they were varied enough every day to keep me interested.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I did I made a hashtag in the beginning that was called Cuppa Day Painting. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Did it trend?
you know, some people did start to use it, and it was funny because, at first it was like people that were following me and that, you know, had commented, and so I kind of knew, and they told me they were going to do it. And then other people that I don't think were even aware of my work started using it. So that was kind of interesting. I was like, hey, look at that. So and I was following it, following the hashtag for a while. So every once in a while, one would pop up
Okay.
from somebody. So yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Yes, I only tried to do one of those hashtag things, and it was back when I was painting over a lot of paintings,
Oh yeah.
and um, I just tried fuck this painting, and it it really
Didn't
didn't
stick.
catch on for some reason. I think
I
people
wasn't
were
aware
like,
of that because I could definitely jump onto that one.
"Fuck this, I'm done."
All right, do you still paint over old paintings?
As often as I can. Yeah, it's I mean, I'm fortunate enough to uh, be selling more now.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's not out of necessity. Like I don't have things piling up that bad anymore.
Hmm.
But yeah, I still do it when I can because I think it's interesting. I think it
Yeah.
adds I think it adds something.
So do you don't gesso over them, you just paint right over?
I sometimes gesso over them. Most of the time, I just continue with oil paint right over what I had done, and I just kind
Hmm.
of ignore whatever's underneath. And so, a few pieces, I've actually let some of the composition from the previous painting bleed into the next one,
Oh yeah.
and yeah,
Cool.
um,
Do you keep many of your paintings? Like, do you decide like not to sell certain ones?
absolutely not.
No. Is
That
that just
that
for
that
practical reasons?
that sounds like torture to me. I don't want to see anything I make. And
No.
I think it's fantastic that other people want it in their homes, in their lives, that it really speaks to them. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there is, I don't think there's been more than maybe three pieces over the years
Wow.
that I've said to myself, maybe you should have kept that one.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm the opposite of sentimental when
Yeah.
when it
Well, I
comes to
think
that
that
sort
can
of
be,
thing.
yeah, I think that can be a good way to be. I wish I was a little bit more like that. I think I'm getting to that point. Especially when things start to build up, it's kind of like, all right.
Hmm. Well, when things build up on me, they spill into other areas
Yeah.
of our space, and then it not only becomes my issue because I really don't have my own space. I just have a few bays of our motorhome that I can
Okay.
keep some materials and where I keep my pieces to dry,
Mhm.
and that is about it. Like if I'm not careful, I start to piss off a lot of people with my stuff.
Right.
It's too much stuff.
Right.
Oh, this was some very ruby red grapefruit.
It sure is. I don't eat grapefruit myself.
Never?
I have. I've tried it. I don't mind the juice, but I think it's a little too sour maybe for me.
Hmm. Well, this this may sound ridiculous, but it's most likely because you have just been eating the grapefruit that people in New England think is grapefruit.
Well, that's probably the case with, I mean, most of our.
Because some of the worst produce that I've had anywhere has been in the Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. Some, yeah, some of the grocers there, or the people in charge have just really dropped the ball. I've had,
Yeah.
yeah, some really incredibly disgusting food, and I will not take that back. And
You don't have to.
I know that I'm from New England, but
That gives you all the more right to say it. It's okay.
okay. Yeah, I actually forgot water today, so I took some of my coffee I bought with me, and
Oh,
because I'm using water soluble oil, I can break up some of the paint with coffee. So it has a little bit of espresso
nice.
and um, in the painting, and I
So it'll be
mean,
like a scratch and sniff painting.
is that possible?
I don't
Do
know.
do paintings actually maintain like the water like the water smell? Yeah,
Well, if the water evaporates and you've got coffee crystals left over, maybe.
coffee crystals.
I don't know.
And now I'm beginning to paint a little bit. I think I'm going a little too thick in some areas.
Mm,
I don't use any medium, so
right. And you're using the water solubles, so no
yeah,
solvents.
nope. So I just have to be good about how much I put down, and when and where I scrape off.
Right.
There we go. I made that piece a little bigger. It was a little
How do
shrimpy there.
you think, how do you think those compare to regular oils, traditional oils?
I um I think they're just because of the nature of the vehicle that they have, they're a little stiffer initially, but they maintain their peaks and the body of the paint really well. And
Okay.
I've gotten used to having um, more control over the application of the paint with oil than I did all those years while using acrylic. And
Okay.
I've come to really like it. I mean, acrylic is still in my mind good for a lot of things,
Hmm.
and sometimes on larger pieces I'll do all of my underpainting in acrylic,
Oh.
and I think that works. Um, but I kind of like the oil on top of it. There's something about being able to have a lot more precise control over the mark. And because I used to be a sculptor, I'm kind of more interested in sometimes the texture and the mark making of the piece, you know, kind of over other elements that people would be concerned with. Like a painting for me can even have some questionable drawing.
Yes.
And still keep my interest if the paint thickness and the mark is interesting. So yeah, and I've gotten into using the palette knife more. And for smaller pieces now, I kind of reserve the palette knife to the end. Like I try not to get in there too quick with it. I have the tendency to, if I can, shortcut as often as possible. And it's not like I feel I'm cheating. Like I'm not trying to pull one over on myself while I'm working.
Right.
It's just that my impatience gets the better of me.
Yeah.
Wow, yours is very brilliant. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm not. I feel like in talking, I kind of like forgot what I'm doing. So.
That's awesome.
I'm kind of just fussing around, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, have you ever had the experience of painting with other people, and you're both kind of working on whatever you're working on, and then you diverge into a different topic, and then it's sort of like driving? You have no idea how you got to where you ended up.
So outside of like college, I've never painted with anybody. Not even like really anybody in the room.
Okay.
So this is all new. I've only ever had the company of like a podcast.
Okay. So is that the way you prefer it?
Well, it's all I've known, so I don't know. I'm not really sure who else I'd paint with.
Yeah, a lot of people are pretty boring to paint with. Because, I mean, it's not like there's a willingness to be that chatty when you're concentrating.
Yeah, right.
But I find that for me, because I was so used to working in public, that
it's markets, right?
Yeah, that having distraction, actually sometimes helped me out, and I was able to bypass some of the kind of the social anxiety.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Of having to be out there with all those people. I'd say like before 2011, I really didn't speak to that many people. I was like, I think I was social in college, and then as soon as I got out of college, I just became like a really quiet guy. And for years and years, I didn't speak to anyone mostly. Like, and my wife would complain about it sometimes. Like, you really haven't said much to me all day. And then I would try to explain to her, well, I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that.
Right.
And, well, can't we think together?
Think out loud.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. We lived a lot of different places. We lived, when we first got married, we moved to Montpelier, Vermont.
Oh, I love Montpelier.
And we lived right in the the downtown area. Like,
Uh,
I used to be
nice.
able just to walk right in there. It was like a 5-minute walk from our house that we rented.
Nice.
And yeah, it was an interesting experience, but I had a really hard time getting jobs.
Okay.
We moved up there because I was hired to run this art center,
Mm-hmm.
and the art center, I guess, kind of stopped halfway through when they were building it,
Okay.
and like the funding got lost for it or was squandered somehow. So then we were
Yeah.
just kind of up there. So I went and I got some random teaching jobs, and
They
I
have
was
a they have an art
I,
school there, don't they?
maybe. But I got teaching jobs in completely different places. Like I went, I was at the high school. I did physics and geometry tutoring.
Physics and whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You, I don't know. Someone told me that that they needed like advanced studies tutors at
Oh.
the high school. And so I went in and I spoke and I took like an aptitude thing, and then they started paying me. So I'd be like a substitute that on my free periods would tutor, but I only did it like 4 times. So
Okay.
I don't even know what all the hubbub was. So, and then the kids who I was trying to help out, they were high as shit. So,
Oh no.
oh yeah, I was dealing with real kind of baked high school students,
Oh nice.
and I think
Great.
I helped out one of them. I think one actually got something, but yeah, I'm not holding out hope for the others. But
Right.
my
Well, you
wife had
did
a
your
really hard
best.
time. Yeah, she had a really hard time getting any jobs
Oh
because
yeah.
even though we were from New England, they didn't
Yeah.
want to hire people who weren't Vermonters.
Oh really?
Yes, and at that time, that's when the frogs were popular. Um, do you know about the frog currency?
No.
Yes, they
What
had
is it?
something that in the greater between Burlington and Montpelier, I think they
Hmm.
had this kind of currency you could get called a frog, and Vermont frogs were accepted at businesses, and they were supposed to be like an alternative to um, normal cash.
Really? And
Yeah.
how one acquire these frogs?
I think that you had to go. I don't remember exactly. I remember the coffee shop, Capitol Grounds, I used to walk
Yeah,
to. Um,
I've been there. Yeah.
yeah. They had some kind of sign, and this was like, I'm talking 20 years ago, like almost.
Okay.
And they had a sign that said that they accepted frogs. And I asked about it, and then I got some kind of weird response, and I never actually followed up on it. So I know it existed, and our
Wow.
neighbors explained to us
Yeah.
because our neighbors upstairs were native Vermonters,
Okay.
so they had all the inside play
Right.
on the
That's
region.
really strange.
Yeah, we didn't live there for long though. We
No.
we stayed there for about a year, and then we moved outside to New York. We lived in a tent city.
Oh
Uh,
my God.
yeah, outside of Jamestown, New York,
Wow.
and we um, for a whole spring and summer, we had a business where we made art and jewelry and designed stuff for people who went to these kind of new age music and art
Mm-hmm.
and science festivals.
Okay.
And did that for a while. And then after that, that's when we moved back to Rhode Island.
Oh, wow. Well, you guys have done a lot, huh? A lot of different stuff.
We've done a lot of traveling, and it's been a long road because I met her at the academy,
Mm-hmm.
the Lime Academy that I went to in Connecticut.
Yes, okay.
And met her there in the late 90s. So ever since then, we sort of just were bouncing around and couldn't really figure out where we wanted to live.
Yeah.
Or exactly what we wanted to do. And so then the opportunity came up to get a coach and travel.
Wow.
And I traveled for work for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to just get out of the sculpture game. And I sold cookware. Have you ever bought cookware from one of those like bullshit Sam's Club or Costco roadshows?
I've seen them. I don't think I've ever bought anything though.
Or maybe like a blender or something.
Right. I know which. Yes, I have found them fascinating. I will say.
Well, I used to be a guy like that guy with the microphone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Demo guy.
Yeah. So I traveled all over the country doing that.
Now, was this the same time when you were saying you didn't really talk to anybody? Because that's quite a job for somebody who isn't into talking to people.
Yes. And that having to do that job is what helped me get out of my general social unease because I had to.
Okay.
I had like a little kid at the time, and we had to figure out a way to keep traveling.
Right.
So I did that until we landed in New Orleans, and then decided I was going to give painting a shot, and just so happened to be there right at the right moment in time. Just when the recovery was in full swing from Katrina, and just when the Hollywood South was coming into the city, and they were shooting all those movies and the influx of money, and then the art kind of exploded, and did that until it just wasn't working anymore, and that's when we have been traveling out west now for a few years.
Oh, wow.
I really wanted to do like plein air painting, and I wanted to meet up with plein air people, and I never actually gotten the chance to. And then this past year, the plein air events that I was going to do were canceled.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the plein air painting, Rachel?
No, not really. I've done a little like a little bit of sketching outside, but I have been wanting to give it a try. I think I've been a little hesitant because of acrylics, and I'm not quite sure how I would, do all that. But yeah. Is much of what you do plein air, or do you usually use reference photos?
I take photos and I paint mostly from the photos I take. I've done a fair amount of plein air painting, but mostly from my car or my motorhome. Like I want to be able to sit somewhere and not be eaten alive by bugs.
I know, yeah.
And not have the elements come get me. And other plein air painters I know are kind of like, you just have to suck it up,
Yeah.
You're just being a baby.
No.
No.
No, I don't want to suck it up. No, thanks.
So I do plein air my way, and
Yeah.
it's worked out thus far.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot more this year
Mm-hmm.
with the pandemic,
Yeah.
because I was unable to get over to Starbucks to do my
Right.
Starbucks painting.
Uh, So when you go to Starbucks and stuff,
When I
do
went
people
to
like
Starbucks,
when you went, I know, sorry.
yeah,
When you
it's
went
all
to
over.
Starbucks, did people like stand there and kind of hover over you? Like how did that go?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes they gave me some really weird vibes,
Yeah.
and yeah, sometimes they were cool. It depended on the area that I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and what time of day I went there.
Yeah.
And so I think some of my worst interactions were in places um, like LA and Las Vegas early in the
Oh,
morning.
oh jeez. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a tough crowd.
it kind of was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then some of my best ones are kind of like in the middle of nowhere in
Hmm.
the morning. So parts of um, like Idaho, Montana,
Mhm.
uh, near Portland.
Yeah.
I had some really good conversations with people there.
Hmm.
Uh, most of the time, it's just like a passing interest,
Sure. Yeah.
and I I've actually sold a few pieces
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah.
to people who were hanging out, getting coffee.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, the weirdest, biggest sale though was um, in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy saw me painting one night when I had. This is just before I was about to go in and deliver some coffee to some friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I was painting like two different pieces there, and normally when people say, "How much is this?" They're they got nothing better to do. You know, they're just
Right.
spit, they're just spitballing. But
Yes.
I
When
told
there's
him, and
uh-huh.
then he said, "Do you have more?" So I went
More.
out like a weird creep and was like, "Sure, I have some in the back of my car."
Follow
And
me down this dark alley.
yeah, and he ended up buying three of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
interesting.
he never gave me his name. He paid in cash. It felt dirty. Like I don't know. I don't really know what to do with that story. I mean,
Right.
some I'd say some things are like in my brain they're beneficial, anecdotal, and some
Right.
are like there's really no time or place where that story besides right now is going to be applicable.
Right.
What's your most bizarre sales situation you've been in?
Oh, I have to think about that for a minute. Maybe, hmm. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
All right.
I'm not so good off the cuff, Chris.
I
I'm
wasn't
gonna think.
either
I'm gonna think.
until I decided that whatever I was painting, it didn't matter what happened to it. And
Right.
you sort of have to get into the mindset of um, this may go downhill really fast just
Yes.
by saying two words.
Right.
And I can see why it's intimidating and why it's weird.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's part of me that understands and a part of me that's like, I don't care. I still want to paint with other people and annoy them and ask them weird questions. I'm just going to do it.
Well, I will say that I if it was just an audio thing, if it was just a podcast, I would have said no.
Yeah.
But this kind of takes the pressure off. So like I'm not fully thinking about talking and I'm not fully thinking about painting.
Yeah, because you can take a look at what I'm doing and laugh, and then you can feel better about your own piece, which I'm sure many of the painters I've had on have done.
I don't know about that. I feel like I'm just painting the same thing over and over again. I'm not quite sure where this is all going.
No, it's like you're refining. There's a certain amount of subconscious crystallization of your forms that you make.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't always justify it.
No.
Okay, I think I have those shadows where I like them. And now I'm going to try to do some finishing blue. And then I think I'm going to be close to done. How close are you to being at a finished state?
Well,
because it looks really good. It looks like you said that I went fast. I think you went really fast.
I think to a point maybe I went fast, and now I'm kind of like, what am I doing? What's
Yeah.
It's I've never painted fruit before.
Really?
Except like, well, maybe an apple. I think in college I painted an apple. So I don't know. This grapefruit is pretty challenging, I think. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I got to a certain point pretty quickly, and now I'm kind of like, well, like I'd like to figure out how to get some of that. So like on this one, there's kind of like the cloth is kind of reflecting.
Yeah.
A little bit, and I'm not really quite sure how to do that, but I'd like to. Or on the one at the top there, like it needs like a little bit of like a purpley blue. I mean, what? I don't know.
Yeah, every time it's something needs some zhishing,
Yeah.
I decide that I'm just going to work on the colors around it.
Okay.
Then sometimes it'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
And I don't have to concern myself much with it anymore. Like I'm seeing if on my own piece here, if with the addition of a little bit of green in the bottom, kind of scratched in, to change that will be enough to kind of move the interest away from the fruit in certain places.
Yeah, maybe I should lighten up my background a little bit there. Go for it.
You have a very bright light on yours. I don't think I have too bright of a light. I'm using natural light.
Okay.
And in these Skype videos, sometimes it looks a little bit darker when you're looking at at your camera phone, and then later it looks significantly brighter in the video.
Okay. Yeah, I've got like an LED light that's kind of right over it, so.
Okay. I think I want to put something thick there. Yeah, I kind of made the initial piece of grapefruit a little large, so I just thought, yeah, I'm not going to include all three on the side.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that composition.
I choked up a little. I'm
I
pretty
probably
terrible at
could've-
taking still life composition photos too.
Well, thanks for telling me that now.
Yeah. It's not one of my strengths.
I thought it looked pretty good. I'm
Okay.
horrible at making up still lifes. Like I said, I mean, my coffee cup was kind of just like, all right, well, you know, I'll put this box of cereal,
Yeah.
behind it, or I don't know.
Well, I'm happy that some people find that refreshing, because if everything had to constantly be so carefully fussed over, I probably
Yeah.
would never even want to paint still life.
No, that's a little too much pressure for me, I think.
All right, and now I'm mixing a little bit of a lighter color. In the photo on my daughter's phone here, it looks like it gets warmer towards the top, and I don't know if I can do that. I don't think
Oh.
I have the structure in place to pull that off.
Mm.
So I'm just going to go with some thick paint right in the middle. And I am almost ready to sign it. How about you?
Wow. I could, yeah, I could call it. I mean, I might go for a little more detail in a few places, but how big of a palette knife is that you use?
Not sure. I'm holding it up right now. This is
Okay.
an oak blade palette knife. It's a stainless steel one. I don't know. Oh, he has it etched into the side here.
Oh,
It's a 304.
okay. So it looks
So,
like that's like only a couple inches long.
um, well, I
The
think,
the
yeah,
part.
the spade is like 2.5 inches,
Okay.
and the handle is probably 8.
Okay.
So, yeah, it has a good feel, and
Yeah.
yeah, I really like what Ray does
Hmm.
with his palette knives. I have yet to get one of his titanium ones, although I would like one at some point.
Hmm. Where is
Okay.
he? Where's the company?
He is Vancouver area, so he's out of
Oh,
Canada.
okay.
Yeah, I had a podcast with him early on where he explained his process, and
Hmm.
yeah, talked about his knives, and so that was cool.
Nice. Yeah, I
Okay.
was gonna try to be like you and use one, but I've got like a shorter plastic one, and then this metal one is just, I think, way too. It's it's like more than half the size of the. So
Oh yeah,
I don't think that would work. This is like from college, and I mean I don't use it. But
that seems like I would only be able to use that in very large pieces,
I think, yeah.
and I think I might. I didn't lose. No, I didn't. I have it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to sign the piece. I mean,
Uh,
you don't have to sign yours, but we're at like
okay.
an hour, and I'm kind of into the idea.
That's cool.
And once I start, you can't stop me.
No.
Okay. Oh, I forgot what I put in.
How do you do that great
A
little
little
signature
blue.
you got? You use a knife for
Oh,
that?
real easy. You use a small brush, and you have a short
Hmm.
last name.
Yeah, I don't have either of those. My
Well,
husband told me that I would regret taking his name because I thought I had a difficult name.
yeah,
And I was like, no, 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 your name is going to be so much easier. And he was like, no, it's not. But, whatever.
yeah. Well, I think it's a distinguished one. So how do people get in touch with you and see your work, Rachel?
Well, there is my website, which fortunately is not my full last name spelled out. It's just rpetru.com.
Okay.
And on Instagram, I am Rachel Petruccillo.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for painting with me today.
Thank you. This was really fun, and
Good.
yeah,
You
I think
did a
I
fantastic job.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's always good to meet people from back home,
Yeah,
and yeah. So say hello to Rhode Island for me, okay?
I sure will.
Okay.